Hello and welcome to KamenRider Blackman. For today's discussion video, I was inspired by a post I found on Facebook talking about government-controlled Power Rangers. And so, today, we'll be talking about particular Power Rangers seasons that revolve around public service. So, right off the bat, let's start off with law enforcement. So, Power Rangers, Time Force, and SPD. Both involve, well, SPD takes place in the future, and Time Force are from the future, but the monsters they catch are criminals, and they're also mutants and aliens. One big thing that was apparently brought up in that post I found was that those particular seasons often display systemic racism, to which, for anyone who doesn't know, systemic racism is basically police oppression towards minority groups. But is systemic racism ever displayed in both of those seasons? Personally, I disagree, especially with SPD, considering the fact that it takes place in the future, where both humans and aliens are shown to be coexisting quite peacefully. And if anyone was to bring up any time the Rangers went to any poor, impoverished areas where aliens ran away from them out of fear, well, that's where they were at. Poor, impoverished areas with plenty of homeless people that would probably be afraid to get arrested, or just of humans. But less because they're humans, but more so that they're cops. But yeah, I wouldn't find that to be systemic racism because they're there for information, not harm people. And right off the bat, it was, well, on the aliens of said area's side, that was straight fear talking, not just a complete viewpoint. My point is, yeah, systemic racism, definitely not in Power Rangers, and definitely not in SPD and Time Force. For SPD, at least, they are in an adjusted period where they show aliens and humans definitely coexisting together with no problems, especially when they have an entire police department ran by a dog, and the superior of that dog is a bird, and even Cat is an alien, despite looking human. So yeah, systemic racism, nowhere to see in SPD. In Time Force, at least, mutants are seen more as a more recent species that have come about. But there are even episodes in SPD that show that mutants are treated equally and have rights there. Because think about it, in one episode called Time Force Traitor, the monster of the week is Jen's old partner, a mutant. And in one episode, Lucas has a rival that's the monster of the week. That is a mutant who could also make himself look human. So for what we see in the future, especially since, admittedly, Time Force does take place farther in the future than SPD, but yeah, no signs of real racism, well, at least systemic racism there with cops and mutants. And let's be honest too, if there was any real systemic racism in either show, then why would the police there be shown arresting monsters as opposed to killing them? Just the food for thought. Which now actually brings me to another thing about said shows. Since both teams are of cops, they instead arrest monsters as opposed to killing them. Admittedly, the method is how it's done is technology, what are you going to do? But yeah, in both shows, in Time Force, mutants are arrested via cryogenic prison, well, in cryogenic stasis prison, and in SPD, they are turned into trading cards. but the monsters are all still considerably alive, so... And that's another thing to definitely keep in mind. The monsters and aliens that the Rangers go after, they're criminals. They're criminals that have shown to have committed crimes and have records and whatnot. So yeah, even, once again, in both seasons, they show that the monsters could also take human form. So, yeah. But for the why in that case, for both cases, of course, they're policemen. Or, let me rephrase that. Both, of course, find it immoral to, kill their perps. So, of course, they go about things in a way to arrest them through their form of force. That's the best I can try to make it, because very hot topic, in case anyone hasn't noticed. But, and yeah, just to be fair, both shows even take place both shows took place way before how things are heated up now between the public and the police. So still a kid show. Can't show cops killing criminals. Just arrest them. That's fine. It's painless for everyone. And at least SPD bothers to arrest their monsters. In Deca Ranger, they just straight up kill them. But once again, Japan, censorship going on there. But while we're at it, that makes me... I believe I also have another thing to ask about specifically Time Force and how police are gone about there. From episode 1, we are told that the future is a utopia. There is no crime, everyone's happy whatsoever, and Ranzik is apparently the last criminal ever. After he is arrested, what's the point of Time Force then afterwards? Since in the Wild Force team up, it's shown that that Time Force are still active. Hell, Jen went out on a Time Force mission to deal with criminals, so crime is still a thing. And if Ranzik was really the last criminal ever, then why is Time Force still active? For Ranzik at least, making sure he doesn't escape, there's a reason. The department could be smaller then, because for one criminal alone, while, who knows, there could be other criminals too. For my point, you get what I mean. For something like that, you don't think it could require the need for an entire police department. But that's just me, and we don't know, nor is it elaborate on how much it is in the future there. So, let's move on now to call and response. Words. My mind blanked out. So, call and response. For that, there is Lightspeed Rescue, and just to throw another one out there, RPM. But Lightspeed Rescue is more so call and response. RPM is strictly military. And in all honesty, both these seasons are probably done the best with circling around public service. With RPM, they're literally the resistance in the apocalypse. But they're a military operation that constantly run about things, on occasion, proactively. And with Lightspeed Rescue, while they're a call-in response team specifically for the demons, we will at least have that occasional episode where they actually put out fires or save Earth from meteor crashes, which was the debut of the Omega Megazord. My point is, while they were put together to deal with the demons, we will still at least see the Rangers perform public service, like putting out fires and any other type of, natural disasters. Because Red at least was a firefighter, and Pink was a paramedic. And the other, I think the only other, and I think like the only other perfect. Oh yeah, I'm thinking about Joel right now with how he's a pilot. And to be fair, for Joel, that's because there are even rescue pilots too for a particular type of emergencies. And that's the most I can say, at least, for both RPM and Lightspeed Rescue. Both are gone about perfectly well, in all honesty. And I'll swing back to another thing involving all of them in a minute. For now, let's talk about particularly Operation Overdrive. Because with Operation Overdrive, I don't know if it's ever specifically said. Oh my god, I'm losing my tongue. I need to drink water. Anyway, Operation Overdrive. It's up in the air with them if they qualify for private security. Because, once again, let me explain that. For private security, it's referred to as non-governmental practice of protecting people, property, and information, conducting investigations, and safeguarding on organizations' assets. In this case, Operation Overdrive are safeguarding relics that, in the wrong hands, could be used for evil. And for RPM, well, not RPM, Operation Overdrive, for Operation Overdrive, and specifically at least Bokenger, for Operation Overdrive, they were hired by a rich dude who screwed up. But for Bokenger, SGS was a whole organization around treasure hunting and safeguarding treasures. Basically, Lupin the Third style. Find this treasure, take it, and keep it out of evil hands. Well, more evil hands. And that's the best way I can explain it. And so next, next thing to actually talk about, surprisingly, is more recent, and that is Beast Morphers. Now, with Beast Morphers, while it's never flat out said if Grid Battle Force worked for or was part of the government or not, but I'm just going off of secondhand information, Grid Battle Force is potentially, or most likely is, a paramilitary, which is, in this case, a legal military operations that works outside of the government, since we never see any real government officials come in, sort of. Yes and no, because Devin's dad is the mayor. But with Grid Battle Force's operations, here's how I look at it. Yes, the Rangers do perform public service, because Morphex is this new energy source like oil and gas, and it is connected to the morphing grid. And what do the Power Rangers there do? They're there to protect the morphing grid, and that would mean also preserving Morphex, since it is shown... I need water. 1 second. Oh my god. My throat was gone, and I need another cup. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. With Beast Morphers, yes, by protecting the morphing grid, they are also preserving Morphex, since it is powerful, and who knows, maybe outside of Evox 2, real criminals would want to siphon Morphex for any nefarious reasons. Oh god, I was really going to be out for a moment. So, in terms of military operations, Well, not military operations. So, within said organization's operations, all of these seasons go about that fairly well, perfectly. Now, one big thing there is the question is the handling of secret identities, since from episode 1, Power Rangers have had to keep their identities secret, but that has only been the case for certain teams. For Time Force, most definitely yes, they need to keep their identities secret because they're from the future. But Lightspeed Rescue and SPD, not really. Once again, they are public servants. So, yeah, what will be the point of hiding their identities if they are out literally doing their job? Even a firefighter doesn't wear a persona, or a cop, so why would Power Rangers? And I think it helps out that said Power Rangers and Lightspeed Rescue and SPD, they're adults. So they're adults. What will be the point of them hiding their identities? Especially if it's to save lives. Hell, even in Operation Overdrive, they didn't bother having secret identities there. But before I go into Beast Morphers, let's swing back to another particular one involving the military, Lost Galaxy, because maintaining Terra Venture was more of a military, well, job, at least. Well, the military were running Terra Venture, so yeah. With Lost Galaxy, I don't understand why particularly there they had to keep their identity secret, especially since 4 out of 5 Rangers were military staff. And to be fair, one of them was a mechanic too, but you get what I mean. Why did they need to hide their identities there? I don't know particularly, especially since, once again, 4 out of 5 Rangers are of military status. Also, they're all on a spaceship. So, do they just think the Power Rangers are? Does the public think the Power Rangers are aliens or something? Or they had to be someone. I'm not saying that I would have rather the military hunt down Terra Venture for the Rangers to learn their identities, but why would they need to hide their identities? If it was revealed that they're the Power Rangers, if anything, they would have done what RPM did and made the Rangers the first line of defense while still having an army, because once again, well, not once again, but it's an army. Why not have an army? They're the army. Like, what's wrong with having an army just to protect the citizens? Like, you get what I mean. But with Beast Morphers, at least, yeah, that's a bit of a slippery slope because they're teenagers, essentially. With adults, at least, no one would particularly bother with that. But with teenagers, one would have more questions for the government. Like, why do they have teenage soldiers? And what would their parents... What do their parents think about this? Like, stuff like that is what the non-government organization would like to avoid from with the public. Just to throw that out there, because woo. So, for the most part, yeah, that's about it. That's all that was really on my mind with thinking about Power Rangers teams of public service based. There should really be like another one, honestly. Like another public service type of team. I wouldn't heard there was. And so, I'm gonna go do stuff now. Oh my god, I need more water. Thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video, tell your friends about KamenRider Blackman. See you guys next time. Peace.